Now this section here, being the new section, still has a fair bit of work to be done on it, and I'm still waiting for these grey areas to dry, and once they're dry they'll be masked over with just electrical tape. I've tried masking tape, and just bear with me, I'll reach for this, just standard electrical tape, El Cheapo. I've tried masking tape, and I find that if you put masking tape over this area that's already paved, the adhesive on the tape is pretty good, and when you remove it, it takes a bit of the colour, the pastel, the texture if you like, with it, whereas the electrical tape doesn't. You might just get a very, very tiny amount coming away with the tape, but it's nothing really, and it's pretty easy to deal with. So the electrical tape really is the better way to go, I think, for this sort of system we're using here. And so yes, electrical tape will be put over this grey area that's here now once it's dry, to effectively mask it off to the line here, and a piece will be put across here as well to block that area off, and you will have another piece going across here just to end the section cleanly. And you will get a bit of you can see here, see these little areas beyond the line, like it's stuff that's bled under the tape. Well, all that will practically disappear, but any sort of staining or whatever that you do see, even this was just put on the other day for no good reason, will add to the contrast in the stone. So it doesn't really matter if you get any bleeding. There is some just, I've lost it now, there is some just there, that looks like a little lump sticking up there. I mean, you can just touch that with your finger or a brush and that'll come away, but we'll wait till it's dry, and all that will be fine. And that, just realised I can see that there, that's the baseboard join. So if that stays like that, probably won't, it will probably widen a bit with use. That's pretty good for a baseboard join, and I'll be happy if it stays like that. As I say, I don't expect it to, but we'll see how we go with that one. So yeah, that's where I'm at, but I've still got all this to go, so which is not that much really. A section like this here to finish completely would take, oh, I don't know, a good couple of hours if you just pushed on with it. That's not allowing for drying and all that sort of thing. I mean, once you've done a bit, it's really good to just remove the tape and just walk away and let it dry properly before you come back. But yeah, that's how it's shaping up at the moment. And this is the bird's eye view. Moving along the new section, you can see the dark staining there, that's where it's actually drying out. And the lighter colour, it may even go just a tad lighter than that, but the idea is it's supposed to match its neighbour here that's fully paved. So you can see the possibilities there. It'll blend in fairly well. It's probably still a little dark at the moment because it's drying. So we move on into the second stage here, just beyond the baseboard join. All this paving was done the other day, and again into the tarmac section, the darker tarmac section, which has subtle little joins in it. This being one of them that was done with a watercolour pencil, a black watercolour pencil and a straight edge, and it was simply scribed into the pastel to make it look like a join. And then we move on along here to a join between the old and the new, if you like. This section we've just been in is the so-called new tarmac, and now we move on to the older tarmac, which has got that more greyish sort of colour to indicate that it's had more time exposed to the elements and wear and tear. And of course that butts up to the first lot of paving that came along on the platform, which converges down to a bit of a point as we get down to the end, and some creative paving done there with interesting shaped courses and so on. So there we are, and there's the very end of the platform. These are the pastels I'm using. They're chalk pastels, and they're called grey tints, and they run from the white on the right across to the black on the left. There's 12 in the box, and they're made by Montmartre. That's what the box looks like. You can see it says soft pastels, grey tints, soft and velvety. So yeah, and they're not very expensive. I think these ones cost me close to $9 for the box, and I've got enough now. I bought 2 boxes of these. I've got enough to finish the platforms. So yeah, I've actually started getting quite low on this one. This is getting quite a bit smaller now, and that's the one that's doing the edge paving. But fortunately, I'm well past halfway on the island platform, and I've only used probably a third of the stick. So logic says that that stick should finish that platform. So then I've got an extra 2 up my sleeve, which should be alright. So yeah, that's what we're using, folks. I've also got this other set of pastels, which I originally bought to use as weathering powders, because if you take one of these, this is a chalk pastel as well, if you take one of these pastel sticks and if you rub the side or the bottom or whatever with a blade, it comes off as powder, and if you put it onto a wagon or whatever and work it in with your finger, or brush it in with your finger, you've got instant weathering. So that was the original intention for these, but I'm also using especially the browns and a bit of the yellow to colour some of my pavers as well, just to get a bit of variation in the colour of the stone, which is probably obvious over here. Whether it shows up on video, I don't know. The other thing I'm using also is watercolour pencils to go over some of them lightly. This one here, this little one here, was gone over with a bit of watercolour pencil, very, very lightly, and with a minimal amount, and just rubbed across with the finger to get that colour. So yeah, everything's subtle with colouring. Subtle is the key word. If you go too heavy-handed with the colours, it'll look rubbish.